morning, folks. This morning's soap comes by way of Strike Gold Shave. The name of this one here is called Ike, and you can tell by the label here you get 5 ounces of goodness in there. Ike has a scent profile of citrus, violet, iris, cedar, sandalwood, and one that I'm not familiar with, a spice accord. I just kind of figured spice being the key word. And that's what it looks like there on the inside. And it's a very firm soap inside the container there. Like I said, there's 5 ounces of soap in here, which is fairly typical of Frank's soap. Got an alum block here, no rubber band this morning. Sterling Hazel Black Ice, that's mentholated. Also going to be using the matching aftershave. That is one thing nice about having the matching aftershave on this glass container here. And if I remember right, yeah, 100 milliliters, in other words, your typical, what, 3.4 ounces. It's nice to have the matching aftershave. Don't have to think so hard about putting it when you're putting the shave together. Once again, I'm using the Cremo beard oil, the tea tree mint flavor, mixed in with some shaven beard oil, shaven sailor beard oil. And shaver of the day is a Merkur 41C. That's what it looks like. Sometimes might be referred to 1904/1906. This one here is the open comb design. There's just a very slight, ever so slight overhang right there, which you can kind of tell. It's a handle, I think it's just over 3 inches, I think it is. Not a very big shaver there. Open comb. I have a link down below from a review of this particular shaver, and if you have time, you might take a moment to read the review on it. I have a different take on it. Imagine that, huh? And blade of the day is ZAZA stainless, super stainless steel. That's what it comes wrapped in, and the picture there, it comes in a plastic dispenser. I've got the lather whipped up here in my thrift store fine bowl. Got more than enough lather there whipped up. It's never had any problems with Frank's performance of his soaps. And this one here is a brush that he worked up for me. I had shipped it to him. Actually, I shipped 2 of them to him. This one here, in shipping to him, got damaging. Let me see if I can get that shaving cream whipped off. You might be able to see it. There is, right there. You can kind of see where he had to make a repair for my my Rubberset when I sent it to him to have a new knot put in it. And in other words, he does great work. I really appreciate that. Frank Soaps, Strike Gold Shave, which is found on Etsy. I've got like I say, a link down below. He's also got a sale going on, by the way. So 5 ounces of soap is running right around, I think, $13.20. And so if you're interested in some of Frank's soaps, this might be a good time to get some soap from him. And some of them will have the matching aftershave available too. And the trick to all this is that I think that the sale ends later tonight, midnight maybe, I'm not real sure. But anyway, it might be worth checking out. But Frank's soaps, he works with a lady named Jennifer, and some of you might remember Mason soaps. I had a few of Jennifer's soaps, and my dad has them now. In other words, he is set up. He's not running out of soap anytime soon. I set him up with what I have of Mason soaps. I've never had an issue with performance of the soap. There was one, if I remember right, that I guess you might say I was not quite ready to buy any more soap at the time. And Frank had released Taff for a brief moment. And I guess he wasn't quite as happy with the scent, but I understand when it comes to scent, oh, how can you say it? Everybody's nose is different, and scent is subjective. I do quite all right with scent. There's an occasion like tea tree oil. If there's not something, there's not enough to offset the tea tree. Tea tree is a very stout scent, in my opinion. It's like mercy. It'll override everything else. No thing I ever pick up is tea tree. But of course, you know, you get the right person to mix up the scents that'll take the edge off of it. You can tell that it's there, but it's not the only thing you notice. At any rate, Frank makes sure, in other words, when he releases his soaps, that he's happy with them. Taft, the way I understand it, he wasn't quite happy with the scent. Wasn't what he expected, perhaps. I just know it was there one day and gone shortly thereafter. Might have been the next day. I just noticed that when I found a moment to go take a look at it, it was already gone. I just figured he sold out of it. I didn't know that there was an issue with the scent. At least that's to my understanding. But Frank restores brushes, and he's got a restored one. He's got a restored one on his website down there on Etsy. And it's on sale also, by the way. Along with some of his brush knots and straight razors. I was looking at the review for this razor, and excuse me, in the review, the gentleman that was reviewing the razor felt like that this was a little bit on the aggressive side. It's in other words, I don't have the same opinion of the shaver. Don't feel like it's that aggressive. I guess it's because I compare it to others that have a whole lot more blade feel. The blade feel is there, but not to the point where, in my opinion, that it would make you feel that it's aggressive. And it also has a lot to do with what blade you're using. This particular stainless steel blade comes by the way of Turkey. I'm unaware of any kind of coating on it. So in other words, my shave today feels different than what it did last time I used this shaver with a different blade. But in my opinion, you know, sometimes coating makes all the difference in the world on how a blade will feel on your face. I know the last time I used it, the blade I used, it left me with the impression that this is a very smooth shaver. In other words, with the blade that of your choice that you prefer. For instance, you know, if I was to use my go-to blade of Persona, and I think that might have been what I used. I have to look it back up again. But it's a very smooth shaver. The way I was categorizing it was it leans more mild than it does medium. I guess it has a lot to do with the fact that it is a smooth shaver. I think you just about have to work at trying to get weepers, cuts, nicks. And especially for the price. Now, I have a link to a website as it goes for the price, and sometimes if you find the right website at a certain dollar amount, you get a ship free. And I can remember when I got this one here, I got it in between $20 and $25, and it seems to trend closer to $30 nowadays. But once again, if you wait till a certain time of the year, folks will have sales going on, and you might be able to get this down on the lower end of the spectrum. I know you're kind of picking over $4 or $5, but that adds up over time, especially if you're sticking within a budget. This is a really smooth shaver. Some may not particularly care for the handle being as short as it is. If you will, the knurling here. Does add a little bit to the grip, but once again, if you use your little finger at the end of the handle, helps with control. Even if your hands are a little bit on the slippery side, using your little finger underneath it will help hang on to it. It's a lot of fun to shave with, but like I said, for me, I think it leans more to the mild side than it does medium, and I don't feel like it's aggressive at all, but it also probably depends on what kind of blade you're using and what you're used to feeling on your face, because there's a little bit of the blade feel there. Feels pretty good though. I've enjoyed this shaver from time to time when I do use it. If you're kind of new to following me, December is an unusual month. In other words, you'll see a lot of shaves with DEs, but I typically shave with throughout most of a month. That's not December or September as far as that goes. I usually shave with shavettes throughout the week. Then on Saturday I'll shave with a single edge, and then on Sunday I'll shave with a DE. So in other words, I don't visit very many DEs throughout the year until December. Unless I get something new, and then I'll shave a week, you know, good 5 days, maybe a little bit longer with a new single edge or a DE. I think that right there, I think might have been a bump that I was been working on making sure that I got it removed. At least I think that's what's going on there. I didn't feel it when I went across it, but it looks like there might be something going on there. But this is a pretty good open comb to start with. In other words, not all your open combs are aggressive. And I have one I'll shave with it here pretty soon. It's a Parker 24C, or if you look at the 26C. The difference between those two is just the color of the handle. But outside of that, they're the same shaver. The handle is a lot longer. It does weigh a bit more. I think this one here's, want to say 2.3 ounces or something like that. It's not, in other words, not heavy. A Parker, it has some weight behind it, and it'll be, in my opinion, it's more on the medium side of aggressiveness, but very easy to use. This is my first open comb, and it definitely got me going down that path of wanting open combs. You can kind of tell, excuse me, a little bit the shaving cream gets left behind, so you've got plenty of residual slickness left over from the soap because of the amount of soap that's left behind. Not only that, with an open comb, if you're shaving every 2 or 3 days, it gives you plenty of room for clearance, you know, of all the whiskers. Like I said, this is, in my opinion, it leans more to the mild than it does medium aggressiveness. And it's fairly efficient. You'd have to, in my opinion, work at if you're the one that chases BBS, you'd have to work at it a little bit with this shaver. Right there sometimes is a tough spot for me to get. But it is I really like it. Fit and finish is pretty good. Can't complain about it at all. If a person was to complain about fit and finish, it would be on the base cap on the underside of it. At any rate, this is, take it apart here. By the way, the reason why it mentions 1904, 1906 is it's based on a, I guess you might say, an older version, and it's very how can you say, very close from the pictures I remember seeing of it. Um, Here's what the cap, I mean the base plate looks like. The underside and as well as the top side is maybe not quite as shiny as the cap is, but it's doesn't affect the shave any at all, and it still looks pretty darn good. That's what the blade looks like there on the inside. But it's the three-piece design, pretty typical. The two posts are rounded off. I think that's a touch that's I appreciate when it comes to a little bit of attention to detail on the design. On some of the my early, I guess you might say, inexpensive shavers, that post, those two posts that have come down, they're cut off. They weren't filed very well. You see little burrs from where they didn't, you know, smooth it out after it was cut. And even though the chrome is on there, but they just didn't take the time to smooth out the edges around from where they cut on the post. A little attention to detail sometimes is kind of makes me think that they paid a little bit more attention to the product that they were putting together instead of just quickly, you know, manufacturing it and throwing it out there for sale. I've got a one in particular that's like that, but it wasn't. In other words, it's not like Merkur or Parker or anything quite like that. That's real well known. It was, I guess you might say, a lesser known product. Get started here with the Allen block. That spot right there. Something trying to come up right there. Thought it was bleeding earlier just a little bit, maybe not. I'll say if I did lop off the top, I didn't really feel it. I feel it now with the Allen block. But it's a pretty easy shaver to shave with. I really like it. It's, I guess you might say, for somebody starting out on their first open comb, in between the Parker 24C. Like I say, it's got a longer handle, it's got more weight to it. But if you're looking for something smaller, this one here is it's a good one to go to. Like I say, if you hunt around, wait a little bit, and you're persistent about it, you can find it closer to 25 as opposed to 30, and including being shipped to you at that price too. Sometimes, you know, you have to shop at the right time of the year, and usually right around certain holidays, you'll find that you'll get better buys, get more bang for your buck. So like I say, you know, from time to time I mention it, if you're on a budget and you save your dollars up, you know, and you wait for certain times of the year to spend your money. And sometimes it's pretty hard because, like TAF, for instance, it was released and before I knew it, you know, it was no longer available, and it was one that I was looking forward to getting a hold of and just waited too long. That's all there is to it. The shaver for tomorrow is a unique shaver. I thought it would be kind of good to go ahead and work this one in because it being a lightweight shaver, and you know, the Bakelite Star that I used, a very nice shaver, very smooth, really impressed with that shave. And of course, you know, then this one here being lightweight, kind of starting to work that direction. And this one here I wanted to work in because it is a very unique shaver. And I've shaved with this one before, and I have two different versions of it. And I took the version of the travel version and put it with the, I guess you might say, not so much travel version handle. It's still all lightweight. It's made out of aluminum. And this one here is a shaver here. It is very unique. For instance, this one here, the cap and the base plate is from the travel version. You got one side that's, I think it was the travel version, but anyway, I got open comb on one side, got the safety bar on the other, and don't know if you can see that. I have two blades installed on each side. Tomorrow when I do this shave, I'll have a video where Andy shows you what he went through in getting it loaded up. It does take a bit of effort. This is not a mild shaver in my opinion, and not for beginners either. And I would say not for beginners just based on what it takes to get the blade loaded. it is a challenge. This go around was not near as difficult. Got better at it, I guess you might say. And both of the blades in this one here is a boss cod. It's going to be exciting tomorrow. Saturday is going to be a good shave. Get some aftershave going here. I've been kind of looking forward to using that one again because it is such a unique shaver. The restrictor in this one here, small, you can pop that plastic restrictor out if you want. In other words, if it's not coming out fast enough for you. Some of these restrictors, you try to pop that out, it's going to be tough. This one here, not so much. It's pretty easy to do. I like this scent. It's, like I say, when it comes to scent, some people may like it, some people will. It's, but as goes for performance of the soap and whatnot, I never had a problem with her soaps. Jennifer always does a good job. But this, once again, this comes in a glass container, which plastic is okay. I understand plastic. I'm kind of torn in between the two. Plastic in that if you drop it, typically it's not the end of the world. Usually it'll survive a fall. And I have a hard tile floor in here. It's not very soft. As in other words, dropping something like this would be catastrophic. Most likely it's going to break. And what's even worse yet, if it ever chips and falls inside the aftershave, yeah, your aftershave's toast. But at any rate, I know there's a debate, you know, going back and forth also what plastic might do to the aftershave and all that sort of thing. That's probably open for definitely another day, but pretty good shave. I say it's, yeah, I think I'm trying to get a pimple there, and I think I'm keeping it mowed down. Face feels great this morning. Hope everybody's doing well. Stay safe and smooth shaves to you.